Hey, true believers, Englentine here. So let me tell you a little story here. I'm not a big fan of the G.I. Joe. I wasn't a big fan of the cartoon. Comic books didn't thrill me. I gave it to Chef Jack because he likes ROM and they're in that first strike. I said, fine, take it. So I'm not very familiar with what's going on inside the books. I know they changed a character to a Samoan woman or something like that. And so she's supposed to be a power lifter of some sorts. But then I was doing my morning rounds trying to find some news story to talk about, and I came across this. Look at this. The first article says, Aubrey Sitterson talks Scarlet Strike Force, the influence of cartoons and socialist writing G.I. Joe. Okay, he's going to talk about his new series. But right after that, it's IDW cancels female-focused G.I. Joe comic before the orders are in. And I'm thinking, holy crap, what happened between those two articles that made it like, hey, all right, I'm going to have this new series out. Oh, shucky darns, it's canceled. I mean, something happened between that then and that. So it's posted one right after the other, for cripe's sake. I read both articles, but you really only have to focus on one because they both say the same thing. And it comes right down to one very simple explanation as to why this happened. Aubrey Sitterson is a real American asshole. Except for I don't know how real American he is. Thing is, nobody would know who this guy is. He's G.I. Joe in IDW. They reported 90% losses in the year. Nobody's paying attention, but then he put this tweet up. Oh, good, it's self-centered national tragedy remembrance from people who weren't even anywhere near New York City Day. And if this wasn't bad enough, of course, he doubled down on this kind of crap as soon as he was called out on it. I'm catching flack for this, but as a guy who stood in the streets of Lower Manhattan where he lived and watched it unfold, fuck you. Well, okay, let's see. You say that if you're not there, you can't mourn the people who died or say it's a national tragedy. Yet this is the same guy who jumps into identity politics for anybody he sees as weak, yet he himself being a white male would not really know how that feels. And I have to say, I've seen some douchebags in my time, but this guy's a self-righteous douchebag. Unfortunately, IDW told me this morning that Scarlet Strike Force was being canceled after issue 3, and with up through issue 4 already written, that means it's ending on a pretty outrageous cliffhanger. And right here, I've got to sympathize, because not for him, but because even though we think he's a douche, and many other people do also, there might be some fans of the characters who want to follow this. And they will not be getting a complete story, and I do think that's wrong. Since the first issue is more than a month away from hitting stores with time yet left for retailers and fans to order it, it might seem premature for the book to already be canceled, but Sitterson relayed the reason he was given by his publisher, as unlikely as it sounds. IDW told me they made a decision due to low sales. But if orders are still open, how can sales be a reason? Are there other factors at play? Yes. He's a douchebag, and he is basically IDW's version of Dan Slott, and IDW just took a huge hit in sales for the last year. More than likely, they're feeling they cannot do anything to divide the readers, to chase anybody away. They need every little sale, so somebody like Aubrey Sitterson is not someone they really want on the payroll. And any book right from him right now is going to be a huge gamble, no matter if they think he's talented or not. A seemingly likely factor in the cancellation is a controversy surrounding Sitterson's comments on September 11th. Ya think? Even though Sitterson denies that's the reason he was given, Sitterson has been at odds with what he describes as a certain vocal minority of Joe fans who have taken issue with changes such as introducing a new version of a character, Salvo, as a Samoan woman, and an Ed Luce variant cover that Bleeding Cool praised as homoerotic. Additionally, a group of fans who disagreed with Sitterson's politics sent him death threats and campaigned to get him fired from the book. Now, obviously, I can't speak to the death threats. I can say that I have received things like, oh, you should die, you should shut down your YouTube channel. I just figured those were suggestions I'm not going to take. But yeah, obviously I don't know that. I do question, why would they even put out a homoerotic G.I. Joe cover? Who would that be for? Just asking. I mean, okay, no, and that has nothing to do with, well, it's the gay guys. No, seriously. Who would a homoerotic G.I. Joe cover be for? G.I. Joe started off as a 90s cartoon. So you have to assume that the adults who are reading it enjoyed it from that. Usually boys, definitely back then in the 90s. And they may actually be sharing it with their kids. So, once again, who is that for? It was a stupid decision. Now, I haven't read any of the issues with Salvo in it, and I've seen the tweets, and I know on a different side of this whole identity politics thing, there's people going, oh, she's fat, she can't be fat, why is she fat? She's supposed to be a power lifter. That's what Aubrey was thinking. We're going to, she's Samoan, she's big, she's a power lifter, because he doesn't like stereotypes, so he's not going to make anybody who may be a stereotype into his book, like a big-ass Samoan woman that can't have a nice figure. But, so he'll do that. But here's the thing. Whether or not, oh, she's fat and I can't, maybe she's strong as shit, but don't have her running next to all the thin people. That's not her skill set. Her skill set is lifting. Done. Yeah, she's not going to be racing towards anything. And maybe just take note that over at Marvel, the racial gender swapping thing has not worked out so well there, so why would you even think that it would work here? Especially since Sitterson is exactly the social justice writer that would believe that presentation equals representation. At the time, IDW, this is at the time of the 9/11 shit, at the time, IDW, which has attempted to stake out a reputation as a publisher of progressive books like March and Love is Love, appeared to stand by Sitterson, but in our interview, he tells us that they forbade him from promoting the book. Probably, once again, they didn't know they were going to do it because they wanted to see which way the wind blew on this particular controversy. Trust me, if everybody in the world were like, Sitterson, he's got a point, then they would be putting out book after book. It didn't go that way. Also, Love is Love is a crossover with DC Comics, and it was to support and honor those who were affected by the Pulse shootings. That is one of the things that made that so acceptable. Outside of social media, this is actually the first promotion I've done for the book in more than 2 months. When everything went down in September, IDW told me that if I wanted to stay on the book, I couldn't do interviews or anything to promote it, and PR even shut down a podcast interview I lined up. Sitterson told Bleeding Cool. I hate those little intros, though. Folks were really mad. I mentioned the death threats earlier, and IDW said they didn't want me rubbing it in people's faces that I still had a job. So there were a few weeks where I wasn't allowed to even mention Scarlet Strike Force or the first strike issues that were coming out at that time. And I can completely understand this. I used to do this kind of thing with my employees when I managed a movie theater. They would piss somebody off. The person would come up to me and demand heads roll. So I would say, okay, yes, you go talk and go sit in the office. We're going to talk. And then I walked into the office after I calmed the person down, said, yeah, we just need them to go. They'll forget about it by the next time they come in. They just think I'm saying something. Because usually it was something very benign. If it was, of course, it was serious, I would mention it. This is the same thing. IDW wanted him to calm the fuck down and quiet down so everything would blow over. It didn't, because he did not. He's still active on Twitter calling people douchebags when he himself is King Douche. It wasn't just Sitterson who stopped promoting Scarlet Strike Force. The first announcement of the book happened in September 9th via the exclusive interview with Paste Magazine, and a press release followed shortly thereafter. But after the controversial 9/11 incident, there has been absolutely no promotion of Scarlet Strike Force from either the creative team or from IDW, a fact made glaringly obvious by the fact that the publisher hasn't even uploaded the book's cover to Previews World, despite final order cutoff fast approaching and other books shipping that week, having their covers on the site and the promotions for other books coming out that week receiving promotion during that time period. Well, that just kind of serves into what I was saying. They wanted stuff to stay quiet. They wanted everybody to lay low, and Sitterson refused to do that. And now he is nothing but a bunch of bad press for them. With no official PR and the book's writer forbidden from doing interviews, the cancellation of Scarlet Strike Force looks less like a matter of financial performance and more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Canceling the book in response to the controversy would blatantly appear to be capitulation to the harassment, but starving the book of promotion and then canceling it once things died down. Claiming sales as the reason could avoid that perception while accomplishing the same end result. Well, that it could be the truth. You don't want to capitulate to terrorists, but once again, it's not harassment if it's response. This dude fired first. Nobody fucking harassed him. They responded to him being a douche. If you're going to be publicly saying, hey, look, guys, I'm a douche, and everybody in the world goes up to you and says, yes, you are a douche, that's not harassment, and that's what Sitterson did. Granted, all of my comments are just speculation as to what happened, what I thought happened, what I think is going on, just from what I see, what I observed. I'm not in the IDW offices, but this is what I think happened. So what do you think? What do you think about my ideas of what may have happened? What do you think of Aubrey Sitterson? Do you think he's in the right? Do you think he's in the wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Also, are you disappointed for the fact that the book got canceled? Let me know about that as well. If you like these videos, you want to see more, of course, click like, share, because that gets the word out about the channel. And if you haven't done it already, don't forget to click subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Sometimes cool things happen around here. Also, this is the way we make our living, so if you don't mind going on over to Patreon or VidMe, drop $1 in the till. Help us keep the lights on, help us keep making videos like this for you. We certainly appreciate everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers who take inspiration when Snake Eyes says, thank you very, very much for watching.
Yo, Joe! We'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe! American hero. G.I. Joe is there.